What is up, everybody? My name is DJ Boozadelic, aka Clark Boozer, and with me, I got my man, Mr. Ultra Van Krome, Stevie Ray Mays. Stevie, how you doing, brother?
I am blessed, man. I am really blessed. I'm in the hospital, but I'm still blessed.
All right, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? The brother's laid up in the hospital, but he's counting his blessings right now and thankful to be here. Out of the blue yesterday, you put the story about the UVK name.
Yeah.
I said, you never told me about that one. And you said, I will soon. So that turned into an interview. So here I am with my brother today. And he's so ready to get this out here that he's taking the time while he's sitting up there healing. And we wish him the very best, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a good question. How did the name come to be? I was in high school in Jefferson, and I was doing stuff like hanging out with hippies because I was, really into Jimi Hendrix. And I don't know why I thought that being friends with hippies was going to take me closer to my destination. And it did. I was always curious about what's this acid stuff. I got to hanging out with a couple of hippies and didn't think that I was going to find out the weird way. And so I got to hanging out with them. And here I am, 15. And I had, smoked weed before, but never like I did now. And so after I got to doing that, they invited me to hang out. They were smoking weed with me in the car, and then we got the munchies, and we stopped by a little store over there on Vancouver and Lombard. And one of the guys said, "Hey, man, let me go get you a snack." I said, "Okay." Little did I know that he said when he showed up with a quart of Sunshine chocolate milk, and it was brand new on the scene, those barbecue Fritos. And so he asked me if he could have a sip of it. I said, "Well, why not? You're buying it from me." Okay. So little I know he had cracked it open and put some acid in my drink, which is that same thing Richard Pryor told you. You better watch out hanging out with them hippies. They'll have you tripping. And he told me that he was going to take me to the house and drop me off. So I said, "Okay, I'm already smoking the world's best weed. I might as well go home and chill out for the rest of the day." He dropped me off. He said, "Listen, don't go anywhere. Let me call you." And I said, "Okay." Why would he say that? So I'm in the house. 30 minutes goes by, and then the phone rang. And I went and answered the phone. And the next thing I know is Stevie. Yeah, this is Royce. "Hey, Royce, what's happening?" "Hey, man, you're going to go on a trip of a lifetime. And just enjoy it. Don't freak out." And I said, What are you talking about?" And I started to hear through the door, that thing from the Wizard of Oz. "You're out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the light." I said, "Where's this coming from?" I looked outside, and all the dandelions are like, "You're out of the woods." I'm like, whoa. And it was a sunshiny day, and all of the sunshine was coming out of the dandelion. So I was freaking out, but I was feeling good. And as I walked downstairs in the basement of my mom's house, the concrete floor was splitting open and cracking. And I'm like, wow. And the dark colors were dripping up, and the light colors were dripping down. And back there in the day, if your mom was into antique, which mine was, you're looking at these wood grains in the wood, and the wood grains started to look like water. And no matter where there was wood, the wood grain was looking like a streamline. And I was like, wow, this is heavy. There was, on the washing machine, there was a box of Ultra detergent. And they had this the sunburst thing on it, was like making the sound like it was surging. I was like, wow. And so I looked out the window, and it was right then where everybody was buying those vans, with the captain's chairs in them and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there noticing that I'm seeing a whole caravan of these vans drive by my house.
Wow.
And the wood was now went from looking like a stream, even though it was wood, it now looked like chrome. So I looked at the washing machine out the window and back to the wood, and it just kept popping up, Ultra Van Krome, Ultra Van Krome, Ultra. Hey, what's that mean? I'm full-fledged tripping now. And that's how I came up with the name. I kept saying Ultra Van Krome. And my sister came home, my baby sister came home. She said, Steve, I said, yeah. She said, you high, ain't you? And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. And then she said, what's Ultra Van Krome mean? So I was trying to explain to her. And she said, well, I can't see what you see, but that's a very cool name. Then it stuck.
Okay, that's quite a story, man. But I mean, for one, you're dating yourself, talking about hanging with the hippies, and then two, having some
Yeah, well,
acid
let's
dropped in
do
some chocolate
let's,
milk.
let's do part 2 of this. So let's make this part 3. So go grab what you want to, but I'm trying to be relevant. So you asked me, so I told you.
No, I mean that's just a funny story, man. I mean, not funny in the sense that you were so young and had that experience, but the fact that just the way the name was born. It reminds me of the story that I heard on that show on the tour bus, and they were doing a story about Bootsy and James Brown, and I think they had slipped either James some acid or something. And he talks about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me.
Okay. So, but let's talk about the music, man. So, you've had a whirlwind over the
Yeah,
last year after you released that Kryptonite album.
yeah,
And for those of you that don't know, aren't familiar with the music, Kryptonite is a bad album created by my brother where he wrote, produced, arranged, sang. He did everything on this album. And I mean, the only person, I mean, I know there's other artists out there that do that, but the first thing comes to my mind is somebody with a talent level of like a Prince to be able to pull that off.
yeah. That's good that you say that. Him, I noticed how he shook the world, and I had the opportunity to be involved with him and Miles Davis at the same time. And Miles, at a gig I was doing in '86, Miles called him up and got in touch with him and let me speak to him. Of course, Prince hung up in my face the first time, and then Miles called him back and cussed him right out, and Prince acted right after that for hanging up in my face. And then Prince started talking to me about hooking up. Uh, I still don't feel comfortable about talking about him because I feel like there were some things happening during that thing there where you never have somebody come along, one of your heroes, as in Miles Davis, come along and treat artists exactly like they are. That's when I knew, uh, for just dealing with Miles, that all this pedestal we are putting people on, they're just regular people. You know what I mean? And Miles cussed him out like your grandmother would cuss you out for, doing something. Miles let him have it. And I still don't feel comfortable about discussing it. I've heard Shaka Khan reveal some things about Prince that nobody had business knowing about. And that lets me know that I'm vulnerable too. But Prince did all kinds of things for me. And as well as being inspiration, he heard my music and took me to another level. But I'm trying to have respect for his legacy. You know what I mean?
Right.
The same thing about Miles. Miles heard me do a bass solo and took my bass solo and made a song out of it. It's called Burn. And, you find out just how real people are. So the people that are handling him now that were there during the whole thing that went down with Calvin Walker and all the people were there. These people decided that they would push me to the side and take credit for how my effect on Miles. Miles wanted me to play with him, all those kind of things. Uh, the same thing happened with Same thing happened with me and Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin came to town. A lot of people don't know. I wrote Stomp, and the hit record that he had. I've been getting bit for years, and you're either ready for these blessings God to bring your way, or you're not. And unfortunately for me, during these times, I wasn't ready.
So when you say you weren't ready, was it just from a standpoint of not understanding the ins and outs on the contracts, or was it just these were people that you looked up to and uh, just kind of got blindsided by?
The latter of what you're saying. I didn't. I mean, here I am, 26 years old, and getting offered this gig to go play with Miles and to go play with Prince. And I just got overwhelmed with the fact. I mean, the only person I knew that was a rock star to me at that point was Marlon McClain and Calvin Walker.
Right.
This we're talking about international people that are talking to me, and I'm still starstruck. And here I am from Portland. I mean, at that time I hadn't really been anywhere. So, if I'd have told you there's a party on 33rd Mississippi, right on the corner of Albina and Deacom and Broadway, we'd have been looking for it, even though we know those streets don't connect. So here I am all this time later. I'm in the coulda, woulda, shoulda department. And it was a horrible thing when I look back on it. I could have been a household name. But nonetheless, it is still where I am. And I also want to say that after this whole adventure of getting to know these people, these folks would always tell me incredible stuff because they could see the future for me, whether it be Prince or whether it be Miles Davis or whether it be Angelique Koujo or Boney James. The list goes on. They'd always get a hold of my material and go, "Man, this is slamming." And of course, we're in Portland, my hometown, and it's a crab fest there. So as soon as you get ready to hoist yourself up and get over the top of the barrel, there's somebody hating on you and to pull you back down. So it led all the way up to me meeting my fiance now and doing what it is I'm doing. And, she took her business in. I moved up here to Seattle, and I didn't have people that I was looking for to approve of what I'm doing because they couldn't approve of it. They're all like, "Oh, Steve, that stuff. But once I moved away and could concentrate on just the music itself, it was a no-brainer.
Well, let's talk about that. I heard you mention woulda, shoulda, coulda. You got a song called "Woulda, Shoulda, Coulda," don't you? My
Mm-hmm.
recollection. Matter of fact, isn't that track that you put on when I was up at your studio and I started flowing to?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, man, that's a beat. You talked about your fiance, now wife, Miss
yeah,
Georgette. You also call her your cake.
yeah. My cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man, she's a great woman. I had the pleasure of hanging out up there for a couple of days, and just made me feel right at home. Uh, but you said that she handles the business aspect and has been big in pushing and promoting your stuff out there. And I know for a while, when was that, back this summer or the spring, you were all of a sudden jumped on T-Rex Radio on the internet, and I just saw you just start to climb, and you held on to that #1 spot for quite a while, I do believe. And so
yeah,
let's talk about that journey, because I know that album, prior to its release, you were on Hawaii, flying around from island to island, mastering it. I think you said you mastered tracks on all 5 islands down there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
did.
mean, that was pretty amazing in itself. So, but you wrote all those songs, did everything on the songs, because you said
Yeah.
at that point you didn't actually have a band. So, how long was that album in the making?
Actually, I think I was recording it, uh, I'd say about 2 years. But I'm one of those kind of people that is always writing. So I would do grooves and pieces of stuff. Like I might have a song other than the instrumental parts. I might have 5 or 6 versions of that same of a small portion of it. And I'm going to put it together a little bit later. Uh, so I would come up with these ideas that I had, and some of them made it to the album, some didn't. Uh, but when I went to Hawaii, we got to Hawaii, I was coming up with vocals and melody lines and all that, figuring out how I'm going to fly it in. And so I had a stereo version of each track after I put it on before I went on the trip. And I'm sitting there singing. I got a portable kit, you know, where I can map my ideas and stuff. So I'd be singing when I'm by myself, walking down the hall, singing, and I put that together. And when I got back home, I was able to fly those parts in. And that's how that album came to be.
My 2 favorite songs are, of course, Kryptonite and then also Stand Up.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Love those tracks. They'll be in my next mix.
Well, I'm really getting off on Just to Love You. The next one we got coming up is called Stay. And that's when I really stepped. Is it Stay? Oh, excuse me. Say Yes. That's it. Say yes. That's the next one. Stay, it's coming out on the next album. So, but anyway, Say Yes, I did a duet with Sandra D. McDaniel. And it is when I officially stepped into being a crooner.
Uh-oh.
And being able to sing what's in my heart and have it be able to, you know, philosophically come out and people dig it. And so here we are, we're singing these songs. My wife was, man, we should put that out. And I'm like, really? I was kind of, even though I did, I was still kind of scared of success, right? And she put that song out, and I didn't know she did. And the next thing you know, it was gone. And I'm like, ooh. So there was Michael Emile, who is the disc jockey on T-Rex, and Juan Johnson. I got to say something about him. He's the morning disc jockey in Detroit. And there is, and he also does Philly Funk, I think that's it. Philly Funk radios in Philadelphia. Well, these these songs that they're playing on the air, or they're playing in Germany, France, Australia, all over the place. And so I get people sending me friendships from as far away as France and Germany, Belgium. And I'm like, you always try to, when you get on Facebook, you always try to do some little bit investigative before you just make friends with somebody. You want to make sure they're on the up and up. And I'll just be dang, a couple of people all went on their page and they had the whole interview when I was being interviewed by Michael K. or Juan Johnson. So those two are responsible to share the responsibility for taking me to the next level, as well as Marlon McClain.
All right. So what was it like to actually get to that level? Because I know there's a lot of people out there aspiring, they keep putting stuff out, but they never actually get that opportunity. I mean, the music business is a fickle industry, let's face it. And, but just to, be at that point and at, this stage of your life, and that was something that you were aspiring to when you might've been younger, but then all of a sudden now you realize that, well, it's going to happen when the creator says it's going to happen.
Well, that's a good question that you asked. if I think I'm understanding you, uh, it was like all these things that you asked for and you asked God for, and all of a sudden, ta-da! And you're sitting there drinking your coffee, and you're making these pilgrimages to all these radio stations. You know, you got to keep in mind they're coming on the air in Detroit. What Detroit is maybe 3 hours ahead of time of us. So, in their time, they're up at 8 o'clock in the morning there, but I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning here to catch that show. Well, Georgette was always trying to do that, as well as trying to break into the European station. And then we got all these people from here that are doing exactly what I was doing, and I didn't understand it. I was always calling them up, saying, "How did you get over there to do that? How did you do this?" And they're like, "You just got to hustle. Nobody's giving up the secret." Well, I'll just say you had to mash and mash and mash and keep sending your stuff out because there's an audience for you. But what I didn't know is that if you don't, the audience you're looking for doesn't exist, you have to create an audience.
Right. We were actually talking about that last night, and that's how we started talking about like college radio and the overseas market. And
Correct.
we're in a fortunate time right now. I mean, because with the internet, you know, and actually being on this lockdown isolation type situation that we're existing in gives us an opportunity and create and really think of new avenues to put stuff out there.
That's right. That's right. And you know, as I was about to say, you know, you're a monster for how you were running things back when you were at the University of Oregon.
Oregon State, baby, Oregon State. Beaver
Pardon
Nation.
me. Pardon
Beaver
me.
Nation.
I'm not alumni, so I don't, you know, whatever. I was supposed to be speaking French, all of a sudden I'm speaking Swedish.
I don't even know if those ducks had a radio station down there. I'm sure they did, but I mean, we had
well,
the big antenna.
well, the bottom line on that is still is that you created a spot. And you know, the cool part about what we do, what you and I do, is it's really rare to be playing, having that in common, your taste in common with already established radio station. You know what I mean? It's really rare where you know every track that's going on. But then once you started doing your thing, all these people were gravitating towards you, and thus you weren't pigeonholed by sitting there going, "Well, I like what I'm doing right now. I'm going. I hope they did what I'm doing. I hope they did what I'm doing." Was stop saying, "I hope they did what they're doing," and saying,
So yeah, we were talking about last night was you know, you mentioned the radio station, and I could think back like how we would just get albums, test presses and stuff, and we'd put them on, we'd listen to them, and we like kind of talk and say, you know what, we're gonna say this one's number one this week, and you know, our listeners were just like, damn, that's number one, so they go out and buy it, man.
Yeah. Well, I
we were
don't know if
controlling
that's what they. I don't know if that's what they did on T-Rex Radio, but I'll tell you one thing: there is nothing like riding down the street or hearing someplace, and you got the radio on, and then you hear the beginning of one of your songs. There's no feeling like it in the world. It's like God came down and blew wind on you.
Yeah, I've always wondered what that felt like, you know, because I mean, I remember how I felt just when you were talking about Georgette getting up so early in the morning. I remember she'd post on Facebook. And so one morning I saw that, I said, oh, I have to get up early next week and listen to it. So I found myself getting up like 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning to hear, you know, and I was just anticipating, you know, where your song was going to be at when I'd hear it. I was like, damn, I was up in the studio with that brother, you know?
Well, I'm here to tell you, my wife is phenomenal. And I have no doubt whatsoever that God put her in my presence. I can't say I love her enough.
That's awesome, man. I mean, like I said earlier, she was a great woman. I mean, just a little bit of time I spent up there and the conversations we've had, like, over the phone with you two. Yeah, it's just been, she's such a sweetheart, man. Now, you know, I,
Yeah,
I lucky man. Yeah,
yeah. I'll
congratulations.
have to say. I mean, especially on top of that, when we spent time together, you and I found out how we are always in the same vicinity of each other. You know, greatness, as I was saying, greatness attracts, and we are always all the people I know, and we're just one or two people away from meeting each other. That's the amazing part about the universe.
Yeah,
You're always one or two people away from folks you would like to meet that are really always going where you wanted to go. Like I always used to want to go. Well, uh, I'd love it if I could meet Hendrix's something about Hendrix. Hendrix was gone way before I came along, and the next thing you know, I'm hanging out with Henry Brown, HB Brown, and I'm over at HB's house in Canada from my brother Corey. I'm over there hanging out with him, and I see there's a poster of Hendrix on the wall, and it says to my cousin. And I'm like, where did you get that poster from? I said, they must sell those things. He said, no, he did it over at my father's house. Hendrix? What do you know about Hendrix? Hendrix is my cousin. I said, yeah, right. And so he opened up the family book, and you see pictures of Hendrix with curlers in his head, those big pink foam
oh
curlers.
yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, it's him, all kinds of stuff, pictures you would normally have, like, him sitting there and at the table and they get ready to crack open plates of dominoes or something. And I'm like, holy, something like that will make you cuss. And the only difference between Hendrix and Miles was the fact that Miles told me about Hendrix, and he told me, quote unquote, you think like Monk. Me personally, you think like Monk, you perform like Hendrix, you are funny like Eddie Murphy, but you play like Prince, or as he put it, you play like Prince. I'm like, get out of here. And he was treating me because I was treating him like me and you would get together with crack jokes. I was treating Miles like not like he's the great Miles Davis. I was treating him like, man, checking it like I'm talking to you. And he dug that so much. Same thing about Prince. And one of these days I'm going to feel comfortable enough to let somebody, it'll probably be you, let somebody in on the conversations I used to have. Yeah, that I would have about Prince, have with him. A lot of people are they don't know that I had a full-blown relationship with him. But then again, a lot of people did, from like, Liv Warfield. I'm not really super, friends with her. But if I see her on the street, we make a big deal out of each other. Chris Turner, people like that. And now, part of the thing with the fascination with Portland, with a lot of disc jockeys now is the time for you to put your stuff out there, because everybody knows with me, Jared Lawson, Brian Foxworth, all these people, Portland has its own sound. And if we didn't get so caught up in hating somebody because they finally got an album out and we all got behind it and pushed it, Portland would be the new Minneapolis. Should have been a long time ago, but coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Well, over the years, I've heard of so many different artists that live here or perform here in Portland that have actually played with the likes of some of those folks you mentioned. Like, was it Saida Wright? Wasn't she in the New Power Generation band of Prince?
Actually, it was Liv Warfield, and I think Saida Garrett. It was not Saida Wright. I think it's Saida Garrett. No, Saida Wright. Yeah, you're right. I think she was one of the background singers. Chris Turner was involved with that, uh, as far as I know. I mean, if you thought about it, Portland's got all these other artists like John Lynn. John Lynn got me started recording. He's the leader of Soul Vaccination. Uh, let's see, there's a couple other artists that have been doing it forever. Tory Ward. I don't know if you know Tory.
I know the name, familiar.
Tory is phenomenal, and I wish he'd get back into it. Leslie White, he's my mentor. Randy Smith started me. All these people got all these sounds and tunes that the world will never hear. And I wish to God that I was and pray to God that I get in a position where I can come back and lift somebody up and get them going in the recording. I mean, where it benefits my record company, which is UVK Records. Georgette and I are that we manage, and that's where my records are on it. We're about to have Barry Frederick. He's a phenomenal vocalist, somewhere in the line of Stevie Wonder. And then Chica Lachey, she is phenomenal. She's the lead singer, the female lead vocalist in Soul Vaccination. Rusty Cox, of course, phenomenal vocalist and drummer de jour. And Brian Foxworth, he's on this album. Brian Harrison, or as I call him, Brain. Brian Harrison, he's playing guitar every place I didn't. Marlon McClain, once again, he's going to be on this new album coming out, the Ultra Van Krome and UVK. And I'm when I want to put out a solo album where it's just me playing again, which I will, I'm going to call that album, Ultra Van Krome again. But I thought, as I always wanted to have a band like I did back in the day. And the band I had back in the day was the Stevie Mays band. So I'm not really, I might just use my name and put something out. That would be funny. But the sound of UVK is kind of funkadelkish, more Prince-like. The Ultra Chrome sounds, I'm making all my influences of people I wrote for. I'm also in the UVK thing. I got some stuff from Sandra McDaniel. I also got some stuff from Brian Idle. I've also got some stuff. He's a vocalist. I also have stuff from Andy Stokes that I produced for him. And, this stuff needs to see the light of day, and it's all very, very good. So I got some surprises coming.
All right. So as you were going through that list of those very talented musicians, I started thinking about Rusty Cox. I went to high school. We were on the track team together. And so that kind of takes me back. And I can think of a story with Rusty because I had bought a cheap bass back, or I got one for my birthday or Christmas one year. And so he was telling me, he said, man, you need to go down to Captain Whizzicles with me. So we went downtown and I got some practice headphones. That's just something every time I hear Rusty's name, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
And then Randy Smith, I think I told you this before. He used to babysit me at one point.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that goes way back. And very talented bassist. And so, man, I can't wait till that comes out. And so after this COVID thing, y'all gonna start jamming?
But anyway, this album that's coming out is the first time in ever that I'm going to I decided to put together a band. It wasn't going to be just all about me, because I've done that where I'm promoting my music, and I've always been, couldn't get people wouldn't get involved with what it is I was doing, and so now that I've come this far and maybe going even further, I feel secure enough within myself to want to turn back around and display my wares with other people singing and helping me get where we're trying to go. So the whole UVK thing, it's time for it to happen.
All right. So I'm looking forward to that, man. because I know this is gonna be just one hell of an album once it's done.
Yeah, you never know. You might just find yourself right in the middle of it.
But hey, man, I keep my mind open to all possibilities. That's what that universe you see behind me is for. You know, always
Mm-hmm.
keep your mind open and all that. And yeah, I was just thinking, you know, from a remix standpoint, you know, I got you, man.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Believe you me, as soon as I get unsick, uh, you know, your opinion matters a lot to me as a person, as a brother. So I always look at you as, you know, no matter older or young, I'm always can be a student. And so I find whenever I get to noticing whatever you got to say, I learn something. I come out a little bit much more expanded. So I'm ready for some expansion as soon as I sit there in a room with you and or just wherever you are and send you some stuff and see what you think and see what your opinion is. Uh, and I trust you with the with inspiring me to go take a left or take a right or go up or go down. You understand?
I appreciate that, man. It's just funny how the universe works because I always wanted to like get myself involved in some aspect, but you know I don't see myself as a performer, and you know I don't have the patience to really sit down and play an instrument. I mean, I'll pick it up, I'll be good for about 2 months, and I'll let it collect dust for 6.
Yeah. I used to do that too until I played what it was I was doing with Georgette. And she's like, I can't understand how you know you can be sitting on this and let it sit there. Why don't we try to put this out and do this? So I said, well, I said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to put these songs I just played for you on a CD. Oh, really? What are you going to call it? And I looked and I said, Georgette. And she was just like, she was thinking I was BSing. And then I did do that. I mixed it, I mastered, I played all the instruments, wrote it, sang it, and all these albums, the Cyber Funkist album, the Georgette album, the the uh, the Ultra Van Krome album itself, the Kryptonite album, and the remix, the Silicone remix. Uh, Part of that one was I was so trying to be like all these people that you hear the music playing in the store, and I was listening to funk like it is, but you know, part of the thing about funk as it is, you gotta have some bass in the kick drum and they're kicking. And so when I played my stuff, I sent it to Juan Johnson and Michael K. Emile, and they took time out of their schedule to going, you know, there's quite a few cuts in there we like that we want to play, but you need to remix that and make it funky like it was when you were on the Soul Tracks. And I made a specific mix up for the Soul Tracks people, and everybody that heard that mix of Kryptonite on Soul Tracks immediately wanted to play my stuff. So I'm like, wow, okay, let me go ahead. It's like God heard my cry, if you will. So now that he's heard my cry and all the stuff that anybody I ever wanted to meet in the name of music, I got a chance to meet and talk to. There was George Duke was one of my better friends. And, you know, it's funny because I could have a conversation with him if I was bothered enough. There's been times where, you know, we could cry. You know, he was, man, he just was such a badass. Um, Stanley Clark was another one. Although, whenever I was with Stanley, uh, I would have him cracking up so much. And I'm still trying to figure out a way I could remind him of who I am when I was a kid, being a usher at the Paramount in Portland. That's how I got to meet a lot of these people. Chick Corea. I used to hang out with, every time we came to town, Billy Cobham. These people would influence me. They still do, even though I don't write, you know, orchestrated, produced like that anymore. I'm going to if I came out with the same stuff that we used to do in the Stevie Ray Mays band, and come out with some of that stuff. You know, I used to write stuff that would make you feel like you're being chased in a movie. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, you had that soundtrack music.
Yeah, fusion.
Okay.
So now here we are all this time later, and that would have been Leslie White's influence on me. But God is good, and he led me to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that. So that cyber funk, would you say cyber funkist?
Yeah, sorry, Funkus,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I actually listened to that interview. I had never heard that one before. I listened to that yesterday, and I really like that one.
Well, you know what's amazing is that you can go on Mixcloud on the MacMan music page and put Ultra Van Krome in there. And the Cyberfunkus album, I'm going to put it back out. I had kind of a misunderstanding, which I ain't going to get into that, but I had a misunderstanding of what was how the music industry actually worked. And that album helped me cut my teeth. And so now that my teeth are cut, I'm going to put that album back out. And I got a bunch of work that now that I'm aware of my mortality, I got a bunch of stuff that hasn't seen the light of day that finally will.
Well, I was just thinking yesterday, I went on to the iTunes to look at your catalog to see what else I could throw in to my upcoming mix. And it's like this brother has a pretty extensive collection on our catalog on the iTunes, and you're available on all the platforms now, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so that's pretty impressive.
Weezer and all that. Weezer and all that.
I never even heard of Weezer. I just know about I use iTunes to get some of my music from. But and then Spotify, I'm pretty familiar with that one too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, take a peek, man. Take a peek. There's music jumping all over the place, man.
it definitely is, man. Well, I really thank you for taking the time out to come on today. And I didn't expect you to be coming on from a hospital bed, but that shows you this man's even grinding when he's supposed to be healing.
Yeah, there you go, man.
As a
And
matter of fact,
tomorrow's
I was talking to my wife, and I said I'm gonna be interviewing Stevie coming up later on today. And I was, last night I told her that you were in the hospital. And then she said, "Is he in the hospital or home?" I said, "I don't know. I think he might be at home. I could imagine him doing an interview for the hospital." And she said, "Let that man rest." I said, "No, he said he wanted to come on." So,
Here you go. Yeah, I'm like, music don't stop, man. And
it can't, man. And
yeah, it's cats like you that make me appreciate the gift even more that God gives me, because you too have been faced with all kinds of stuff that would have just made the average cat go down, but you still here getting your crying on.
yeah, man, you got to. It's the only thing that keeps you sane, man, because you can sit there and dwell all day on, the what ifs. But a lot of what did that for me is I started getting more into away from the religious aspect and more into the spiritual aspect. And that really opened the third eye, which I never knew existed, to tell you the truth, prior to that experience. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I never actually knew what it was all about.
Yeah.
With the upbringings that most of us have. But then once I started doing that research and it started making sense, and I started figuring out that, man, this is the way the whole world, if you go back throughout time, how they got their messages and their information and their knowledge, it's opened themselves up to the abundance of the universe.
I tell you what, we're going to do this again, and I won't be in a hospital, and I will be officially in my alter ego on a permanent basis.
All right.
And because I'm looking at myself now going like, oh, this is kind of, but this goes to show you that I am sincere about what it is I'm doing. And as a result of that, the awakening.
The awakening. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My man Ultra Van Krome still vibing on that positive energy that's floating throughout that universe. He's got some funky stuff. Make sure you check him out. Like I said, his music is available on all the major platforms out there. And if they want to check out your website and follow you, they can follow you at where?
Ultra Van Krome. That's Ultra, ULTRA, Van, VAN, Krome, KROME, LLC. You can put that in on Facebook, and you can actually Google it, and there's some information about it. So please, by all means.
Make sure you check that out, and make sure that you like this video. Make sure you share this video, and don't be afraid to subscribe and leave a comment or two and tell us what you think. And
That's
you can
right.
catch me. Just type my name, Clark C. Boo, and type that into the YouTube. And then on Mixcloud, just type Clark. Actually, it's DJ Boozadelic on Mixcloud. And then on Instagram, you can find me as Boozadelic. I know I need to consolidate and make it all one thing so I don't confuse people, but that's just how I'm rolling right now. I never really thought I was going to get myself involved in so many different things, but you know, since I've been healing from all this stuff I've been going through, and, you know, on my good days, I just get out there and I start creating, and this is where I'm at right now, y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in to the Boozadelic Chronicles, and let's wish our man, Mr. Stevie Ray Mays, better known as Ultra Van Krome, a fast and a great recovery, because he only said he's going to take about a week to recover, and then he's going to be back in there doing his thing, y'all. So let's get
everybody rise.
I'm an American, I am an American,
Oh, yes.
I am. I am an American, I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we gotta spread this vibe all around the world. We come in peace, but we'll rock it. You just can't stop it. Straight with it, a bunch of curl. Bob Page is a dreadlock world. I make your body rock. You gotta we gotta wave that funk sign if you can. Tell all your friends, come on and join the plan. It ain't about politics, no sir, man. It's freedom, dumb free, and that's how it's supposed to be. Cause I am an American, so don't judge me, you won't budge me. Let me make this perfectly clear. Don't try to steal the bus, Gus, just ride. You got nothing to fear, whether sober or high. Don't deny, everybody knows the drill. So wave your hands in the air, wave a funk sign high if you can, cause oh yes,
I'm an American, I am an American, I am. I'm an American, I am an American, I am. I'm an American, I am an American, I am.
trendsetters and real go-getters, razor sharp, high and tight. When things go wrong, we'll make it right. From out of the dark and into the light. Yeah, that's us, the U.S. Feel the thrust of the very best. Come on now, you gotta confess. We're gonna make it do what it do. As I keep the key to this house. Yeah, it was on my mind, but now it's on my chest. I tell you right now, I feel blessed in America. Oh yes, American. Cause I am an American. So don't judge me, you won't budge me. Let me make this perfectly clear. Don't try to steal the bus, just ride. You got nothing to fear, whether sober or high. Don't deny, everybody knows the drill. So wave your hands in the air, with a funk sign high if you can, cause oh yeah,
I'm an American, I am an American, I am.
say what? An American woman yet to be elected? Girl, let me hear your perspective.
This is the land where dreams come true. Anything you choose is a path for you. Many struggles for the green, blowing bubble till I'm leaning to chase the blues. They have no clue what it takes to win. I've been on a mission to find out who I am, an American. It's hard to feel proud till I think about the obstacles I've danced around, still standing now. Every day is a way for your spirit to grow, to get to your future, but the negative on hold.
Rise.
I'm an American, I am an American, I am. American, I am. I'm an American, I am. An American, I am.